Hi, thanks for joining me today on Pastors Connect. Pastor Clint Hopper is out for the day, but I'm so glad to get to share with you for a few minutes on Pastors Connect. I'm Lisa Piper, the assistant pastor here at the River, and today I want to talk to you. I hope that you can put some suggestions in the comments when we talk about what we're going to talk about today. But first, I want to tell you all something cool. We were making some follow-up phone calls on the baptisms from Sunday night. Hey Kim, there was 38 to like 41 baptisms just on Sunday night. And one little girl who has had vision problems for several years, her father actually was on stage with the guest band Sunday night, was healed. She didn't have to wear glasses going to school on Monday morning. They are so excited. Someone's back was healed. I think there were at least two people that were saved. There was one woman that she's been pretty under depression and different things, infirmities for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. She came out of that pool so excited, and I haven't seen this kind of change in her for a long time. Hey, Debbie Hobgood. I've got something neat to talk to you all about today. I really would like to have a connect where if you have any thoughts, if you could put those down, I would love to hear what those are. Hey, Jessica and Deborah. Hey, my girls are here. Hey, ladies. So good to see you guys. I know that we probably kind of know this scripture I'm going to talk about, but I think we need a crash course on it. This is from James chapter 1. It's just 3 verses, and I'd like to know if you have any thoughts on it. The first verse is pretty understandable. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he himself tempt anyone. Basically, it's saying God can't do bad. So when we get tempted, it's not him. Now, because I'm in Freedom Ministries, sometimes, hey guys, hey Tammy, uh, sometimes people will want me to say, okay, can you cast out this temptation to do whatever? Well, if someone does have a bondage, yes, you can command fear to leave. You can command bondage, addictions, if it's like an overwhelming compulsion. But temptation doesn't just come because of that. So let's read what brings temptation. Are you ready? God's not tempting us. If you take your finger and hold your finger up if you're not driving and you turn it around and go like this, there's the culprit right there. There's the culprit behind the temptation, according to verse number 14. Let me read it. But each one is tempted when he was drawn away by his own desires and enticed. Now, that's true because, I am never tempted. I never tempted to commit adultery on Dennis. But I am sometimes tempted to have more than one of these. This is not made with sugar. It's made with erythritol. I have these in here for emergencies, but I only have one because I don't trust myself with two. See, each person may not have the same desire. Your own desires is what actually draws you away. And what the enemy does is he takes a look at what that desire is. So he's not going to, some dude prances up in here without their shirt on or something. I'm going to say, gross, get yourself out of here. I do not even care. But on the same hand, I do have some weaknesses that probably the enemy, if he is going to put an attack on me, he's going to package it a little differently. So when we're tempted, let's say you're tempted today to sin, you need to look at that and say, what desire do I have that is producing this temptation? Because if you didn't have that desire, it wouldn't be there, right? So let's look a little bit more into it. I love the way they word this right here. Okay, each person is tempted when they're drawn away by their own desires and they're enticed. Look at what James says here. Then, when desire has conceived, basically, desire gets pregnant. How does desire get pregnant? When temptation comes, we're pulled away by our own desire. And when we give into that temptation, it makes, I had a pop up just now, sorry. Desire gets pregnant. So the desire comes. If we do that temptation, then desire gets pregnant. And then it says it gives birth to sin. And when it is full grown, brings forth death. We always know that sin brings forth death, always. So even if you're doing a little sin, you may not bring seed death tomorrow if you begin to lie today, but eventually that baby is going to grow and it's going to produce death. And let me read any of the comments. Jessica says truth, and Facebook user says good word. I think this is a good word. So let me start again because I really want to get this inside of us, especially if you just joined. Stay with me. It's just 3 verses. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he himself tempt anyone. And sometimes people say the devil made me do it, but the scripture says here that the culprit is each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. Then when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and when it is full grown, brings forth death. Now that brings me to my point. Why are we playing with sin? Why are we playing with desires when we know it's going to bring forth bad things? Flesh. Kim said flesh. That's true. It's flesh. So what we have to do is get this flesh under control. Sometimes we can cast things out, but a lot of times we need to submit our will to God. And then guess what? You're not even hopeless in that, because with that, I can say truthfully to God, God, I have a desire, or I have an appetite for whatever it is that's causing me to be tempted. And then say, God, would you change my appetite? I want to be hungry for truth, for righteousness, for your face. And let me tell you about a conversation that I had a while ago, and I'm going to finish this up. I hope this leaves you with some good things to think about. And again, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. But I don't think she's on here, but I won't tell you her name. But I was talking with a woman today. I was really blessed by her because when people first start in freedom, a lot of times you're showing them how to pray, you're showing them how to hear from God, but then they will begin recognizing their own temptations or their own desires. And she said to me, what I'm finding out is that God has set me free in this area, but when I'm around people whom I think know about my issues, I'm kind of ashamed. And I'm embarrassed that people may not agree with the decisions I've made. I'm trying to cover that up just a little bit. Well, I started thinking about that. She, instead of being thankful for where God's brought her, not being condemning with that, what had happened is that shame was covering her. She was allowing what other people think to control her. And it could have been a little pride in there as well. So what we did is we began to pray. We submitted to God the behavior. We submitted to God the caring what other people think. We submitted to God the embarrassment and the shame. And guess what? He came in and took it. And I want to share with you. Hey, Elmer. I want to share with you what happened, what God showed me. Y'all ready for this? I'm even going to close my book here. It's my favorite Bible, y'all. My spiritual warfare Bible. I love that. Okay. So I'm praying with her, and God begins to show me this filing cabinet. And I remembered when I saw the filing cabinet, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, where it talks about love. And it says that love, among other things, it doesn't hold records of wrong. And I saw in this filing cabinet records of wrong. That somewhere back in the recesses of her mind, it was the wrong that she had done, and it was the wrong that others had done to her. And even though she had forgiven, even though she was walking forward in her freedom and truth, she had filed back for future purposes the record. And so what she did was said, God, I submit to you the record of the wrong done to me and the wrong record of the wrong I have done. And I ask you to expunge the record. And in the spirit, I began to see papers flying out of this filing cabinet. I want to tell you that God can clean the junk up so good, so well. He is so good at doing it that the temptations, the desires, the marks against you, they are nothing when it comes to the presence of God. So I would encourage you today or anyone you're ministering to say, okay, God, if I'm having these bad behaviors, if I am not renewing my mind, if I'm having a temptation, show me the key. Now, the most beautiful thing is that the devil is like a dog. He can be trained, and he always shows his hand. If you are being tempted, if the enemy is using a desire of yours to tempt you, because God doesn't tempt, it is actually a gift. It is giving you a key to something that you can allow God to take. So if suddenly you are tempted to steal something or to lie, tempted to gossip, if the temptation comes, you can point that finger back at yourself and say, okay, God, what in my desires is enticing me so that this temptation is even an issue? Use it. Use the attack against the enemy and then allow God to clean it up. And you know what will happen? The enemy will lose that ground and lose the power where he will not be able to effectively tempt you with that again. You want temptation to go? Well, get rid of the desires, and it will. Isn't that great? Okay. Well, that's all I've got for Pastors Connect today. Thank you guys for joining. Some of my people that I love so much are on here. Thanks for joining, and we will see you tomorrow. Pastor Allen will be on for Pastors Connect at 3. Colton and I will be on here at 8:45 in the morning with worship, and then service tomorrow, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Pastor Allen's going to be preaching here at the river. So we'll hope to see you then or see you online. God bless.